Hey everyone, welcome back to another video here on my channel. Today I am sharing a much requested video, the comparison between Gather Round's Letters and Numbers curriculum and the Good and the Beautiful Preschool curriculum. Keep watching if you're interested. Alright, if you are a new face around here, my name is Christine and I am a homeschooling mama to 3 kids aged 6, 5, and 3. My eldest will very soon be 7 if he's not already 7 by the time this video goes live. I have been asked several times to do a comparison between these two curriculums. They're both preschool curriculums. They're both fairly new. The Good and the Beautiful's preschool has been out for a while, but last year they completely overhauled it and came out with a basically brand new preschool curriculum. I did an overview of that and compared the old to the new, so I will try and link that video for you here. So I did that, and I did Gather Round's Letters and Numbers curriculum with my daughter last year. She was kind of speeding through everything. She's my workbook kid. She really enjoys doing that kind of school, and so I feel I can give you a pretty good comparison. Now, I don't have the preschool book with me here now, and that's because we finished it and I threw it out. So I can't show you here, but if you go look at the other video, you can get like a flip through and a look at what it looks like. But I'm going to share like what components it comes with, the differences between the two, and kind of like which one I might recommend more, if I do recommend one more. So let's have a look at, I don't have all of Letters and Numbers here, but I have some of them. So this is the first book, Student Book A from Gather Round. Have a look there. Now, I bought the PDF version of it. I usually buy the PDF version of most books and print them at home so I can use it over and over again for my kids. Gather Round has 4 different units. So Gather Round is a unit study style curriculum. That is what their curriculum is based on. And it's no different for their preschool. So the way that their curriculum works is that you get these 4 units. The first 2 units go through the alphabet, and then the second 2 units go through the alphabet again, but at a slightly higher level. So the second 2 units have more writing in them. They're just a little bit more advanced. Not crazy, but like a little bit. And there's also, I believe, I don't know if it goes into like full-on reading, but it starts to introduce blends. Whereas these ones don't necessarily have that. So what you will get, if you buy 1 unit, you actually get 2 books. So there's Student Book A and Book B, and they did that because it was quite a hefty book and they wanted to make it smaller. Honestly, with my kids, I generally print them out and bound them together because I felt like it was a waste to have to make 2 covers and everything. And then there's also a book which is full of stories. So for each lesson, you read a story, and it's like a factual story about an animal or whatever, whatever the unit is based on. This one is in the forest, so forest animals and things that are in the forest. And then there's some like comprehension questions at the end. Some would say, like they'll say that they're Charlotte Mason inspired. I wouldn't necessarily call it Charlotte Mason because it's more of like a classical, like just reading comprehension. It's not necessarily like oral narration or anything like that. But it's still good. My kids really enjoyed it. And so you do that, and then you go to the workbook, and in the workbook, I don't remember how many pages. I'm going to have a quick look here. So each lesson, I think, has about 3 pages. 1, 2, 3, yes. So each lesson has 3 pages. So like here is 1 page. You've got that. So that's about like learning and recognizing the letter A. And then the next page is cutting out the letter A. You can color it in or paint it or whatever. And then there's these lines which they can learn to trace. It just gives them some practice. They can use their finger. Like in the first 2 units, they kind of instruct them to use their finger to trace things more than they do with like an actual pencil. But they do work on pencil grip. And then one thing I did not print out in this book, because this book I'm using with my daughter this year very casually. I'm not doing like a full curriculum with her. But these do come with an appendix. In the appendix, they have things like flashcards that you can print out and use with your child, and little pieces that might like be assigned to certain lessons. So there's that. They also have, where is it? I just saw one now. these along the way are like little mini books that they can decorate and cut out and staple together. Personally, I didn't love doing these. I found them kind of boring, but that was just me. My daughter actually did enjoy them. And then here they do have like areas where they can draw a picture and narrate to you a story that you will write then for them in there. And so it goes through letters and numbers, so it's not just the letters. I mean, it's titled letters and numbers, so really it should. But yeah, it's a good curriculum. I enjoyed it. It's bright and colorful. I did find it a little bit repetitive in some areas, but my daughter seemed to really enjoy it. She wasn't such a fan of the stories by the end of the last unit we went on. She was kind of over the stories. My son really loved the stories. Even though he never did the curriculum formally, he would always listen in, and he really enjoyed it, and he'd like try answer the questions. So yeah, bear that in mind. It's not going to work for every child, but I do enjoy it. One thing I will say is that it is quite pricey. It's actually it's pretty pricey. You can buy the physical copies of these, and that's great. I've always opted for the PDF because I live internationally and shipping would just be too much. But yeah, it is on the pricier side, so bear that in mind for like a preschool curriculum. I guess I just find it hard to pay a lot of money for preschool because I don't know, in my mind I'm like, it's not like necessary academics, if that makes sense. I don't know. Okay, so let's now talk about the Good and the Beautiful's preschool curriculum. So I used their old one and I enjoyed it, but I just felt like it wasn't robust enough. There wasn't enough lessons in it and that kind of thing. Well, they overhauled it last year, completely overhauled it, and I bought it. I didn't know if I was going to or not, but I ended up getting it, and I was so pleased that I did because I loved it. Like, all the things that I had issue with before were fixed. It was just beautiful, and I really love it. So I'm sorry, I wish I had the physical version with me right now because I'd love to refer to it as I'm talking to you. But please go check out the other video, and they also have flip through videos and pictures and stuff on their site, so you can go look at those. But essentially, it has 90 lessons in it now. Before, it was, I want to say like 52 or something. It was kind of like an arbitrary number. So it's got 90 lessons in it now, which like matches up better with the school year. And the lessons are just as beautiful as they were in the old curriculum. There's beautiful graphics and illustrations, and there's poetry and picture study and all sorts of fun things like that. It also goes through the alphabet. Now, it only goes through the alphabet once, but I think that's pretty standard for a preschool program. What it does come with is it comes with the book, which you can buy physical copies of these. You can also buy the digital version, and I bought the digital version of the book, but I bought the physical version of the folder that comes along with it. Now, in the folder, there are games. There are lots and lots of games that come with this preschool curriculum, and I didn't want to have to go through all the fiddly work of putting that together. I did that with the last one, and it was fine, but like last year, I was feeling the burnout by the end of the year, and so I decided to just go ahead and purchase that, and I'm really glad I did. It comes in a beautiful folder where you can store everything nicely, and the games are really fun and colorful. My kids love them. My son, who is almost 7, still talks about the games from their preschool curriculum, so they are good. And one thing that they changed, which was quite a big difference in their new curriculum, is that they refer to videos online. So there's lots of videos for the children to listen to the letter sounds. There's like action videos where like they'll assign certain actions to different letter sounds. My daughter loved those. Like all my kids got hooked on them. And there's not a lot of screen time because I know some parents don't like the idea of using screens in their school, and I totally understand that. This is not something where you're going to spend hours on the screen. It's just like a 2-minute song, if that, that you might go through with your child. And personally, I do like the singing and that kind of thing. So they have that, and then they have the games folder as well. So you've got essentially 3 items that go with it, although one isn't tangible. And we really, really enjoyed it. It's beautiful. I just love it. So the 2 of them have some similarities. Both of them have beautiful illustrations. If you want something that is pretty and nice to look at, then both of them have that. They're both Christian curriculums in the sense that they both have like Christian morals in them. There's no doctrine really. There's like, I haven't noticed any doctrine in the Good and the Beautiful Preschool, and honestly there's very little mention of even Christian, like strictly Christian values. I would say more of them are just like good values to have, you know, being kind to one another and being respectful and seeing the beauty in the world around you and things like that. It's not something I don't think it's a curriculum that someone who isn't religious would struggle using. You could easily omit stuff in it. This, however, especially in the story part, has Bible verses and scripture passages that go with it. We didn't actually use that a lot. I don't know. I don't think it's bad to have it in there. It just didn't gel very well for us. And so I just personally didn't feel the need to use it a lot. But there is definitely more of sorry, that ended abruptly because my card was full. And so I had to go delete some things off of it. If it's not the card, it's the battery. Honestly, I need to be a little bit better prepared when I sit down and film. Anyway, I think what I was saying is I would say there's more heavy emphasis on Christianity in this curriculum than there is in the Good and the Beautiful. I think you could omit it in here though. Like, especially if you're not using the story so much and you're just using the workbook. There's like nothing really in here. It's more in the actual stories. So bear that in mind. The way, I will say that they're both pretty good in teaching letters and numbers in a like multi-sensory approach and a multi-faceted learning approach. So it's not just like sit down and write things out. Like they've got different activities and different suggestions. So they're both really great in that aspect. Now price point, I really need to look this up. Okay, so for the Good and the Beautiful, their language arts course set for preschool is $44.97. That's US, and that is for the physical copy. If you want to get the digital, it is... Oh, and I forgot an aspect of it. I totally forgot that. So it is $14 for the course book, $14 for the folder activities, and then $9 for the practice sheets. So I forgot about the practice sheets, and this was something I appreciated. So at the end of every unit, it kind of does an overview with your child. I would not call it a test by any means. It's just kind of like an overview to see what they've comprehended, basically. And if they're not comprehending stuff, then there are practice sheets that you can go through with your child, which is particularly helpful for letters like B and D because they get confused between them and things like that. So, yeah, that's it. So that's what, $37 for the PDF download. So that's something to consider. And then let's have a look at these ones. For the teacher's manual, for the hard copy from Gather Round is $30. So for one book, it's $30, and then it's $29.95 for the student books. So really, you're looking at $60. So it is significantly more expensive. So it's quite a lot more, and that's only half the alphabet. So you're paying like $120 for the hard copies of just 2 units. So that's quite a lot more money. And it's, yeah, it's just it's substantially more expensive. And I wouldn't necessarily say that you're getting a better curriculum for that price. I think it's good, but I do think that the Good and the Beautiful has more of a multi-sensory approach in their newer preschool unit. So yeah, I don't know if that's a good comparison for you. Once upon a time, I would have said this is like, great, get this. It's like really cheap and affordable. I think that the Good and the Beautiful is actually cheaper now to get like the full alphabet basically. But if your child likes this style of learning, then it's worth the money. You know, like you've got to do what works for you and your child. I didn't realize quite how much more money it was. So you're paying about $45 US for the Good and the Beautiful physical curriculum, and you're paying $120 US for Gather Rounds. That's for 2 units. To get all 4 units, you're paying $240. So that's, and I haven't actually double checked those prices. I don't know if they're the same for all their units. I would imagine they would be. Sorry, this is very like choppy because I'm just like trying to get my head around the numbers. And Gather Round does also offer a letters and numbers expansion pack, and that's got like a big poster. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I will say that. Lovely watercolor illustrations and things like that. So they do offer that. That's another $50 for a hard copy of that. So, I mean, if you compare it to other preschool curriculums, it's probably not that crazy. But I think when the Good and the Beautiful does such a good job at keeping their prices low that it just can be like sticker shock when you're not used to that, you know? So put it up against other curriculums and you might find it is comparable to things like Abeka and things like that. But for other things, there are lots of options out there for preschool. So it depends on your style of learning and your budget and all that kind of stuff. That is my comparison. I think you can kind of tell that I lean more towards the Good and the Beautiful, and I'm not being paid to say that at all. We've used their curriculum extensively. I like some things about it. I don't like other things about it. This is just my opinion and what's worked for us. So leave your comments down below. I love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
The world had more of your smile. What if the wind could spread your love